He's Tony. I'm Mike. We're here to watch people burn. And appropriately, because this is episode 33, we're reviewing Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, 1978. As far as I know, the original stoner comedy. I can't think of anything else prior to this.
Reefer Madness was unintentionally hilarious.
Yeah.
And there had been other movies that dealt with, drug culture, but they tended to fall in the more serious lane of things, like Easy Rider.
Yeah. Easy Rider, probably the closest thing I can think that. But again, like you said, more quote unquote serious, but not really serious. But it's like a legit comedy.
Yeah. I thought we were talking about Easy Rider. I'm going, wait, what? What the hell movie did you watch? Because look, if it had big jugs on the cover, that was the wrong Easy Rider.
So, anyways, this is 1978. This stars, of course, Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong. We'll get that in a second.
Yeah.
This is directed by Lou Adler. I didn't bother to look up what else this is.
Lou Adler's done a ton of comedies in this particular period of time.
Okay, what's this?
Just put a grocery list together on this one, because man, I will be here for.
Just go through.
Shit! Don't do that to me. I'm not even on the Lou Adler page at this point. But no, he did a lot of off. Basically off-color kind of comedies that were adult-oriented. That was kind of his shtick. But almost... I don't want to call him an exploitation director, because that's giving him too much credit. He just was all like, hey, man, I can make a buck! so good on you, Lou Adler.
And it did make a buck. We'll get to that buzz in a second, though. So, starring Cheech Marin as Pedro, Tommy Chong as Anthony... Edie Adams as Tempest Stoner. I'm not even mentioning her. She's in it for about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Struther Martin as Arnold Stoner, who was in it also for 2 seconds. His only movie that I remember him being in was Slapshot. He was the manager of the hockey team.
Yeah.
Stacy Keach as Sergeant Stadinko, and Tom Skerritt as Strawberry. Yes, Tom Skerritt from Alien.
Yeah. I was going to say, a year later he went on to do Alien, and I did not remember him being in this movie. So when I saw him, I'm all like, well, wait, what? So, who put shoe polish all over him? but yeah, no, he did Alien. He was in Top Gun. He became a very legit director, or a legit actor.
Yes.
Did either of the girls that wound up driving back to Los Angeles with them, did either of them do anything besides this? Because the blonde looks familiar, but she also looks like the archetype blonde from this decade of movies.
I don't know. So, I didn't really care enough to bother, to be honest with you. I mean, we're here to talk about, Cheech and Chong. And so... Anyway, Cheech and Chong, prior to this, had been doing the comedy records for some time.
Yeah.
I should have dug a little deeper to see how they got their financing and stuff and how this movie ended up coming about.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
He was high.
So anyways, so while the movie didn't get great reception, it did phenomenal at the box office. Yeah. Budget of $2 million. I don't know where the $2 million went. It doesn't look like a $2 million film. Looks about like maybe a $500,000 film. They probably smoked and
I was going to say. Well, the thing is, legitimately, Cheech and Chong were a comedy powerhouse at this particular time. And I remember hearing the albums before I ever saw any of the movies. And that's something that we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, they had like a huge number of very successful comedy albums. And
one that came with a giant rolling paper, so you could roll that fucking,
giant split.
Yeah.
The toilet paper roll that burned in the car. But I really do think that $2 million and legitimately probably...
It's mostly just for their...
Paying Cheech and Chong for that. That and the other thing is that at this particular point in time, shooting in Los Angeles was expensive, especially if you were doing it legitimately. So,
which they were. Because, the majority of the film was shot in L.A., and then some of the shots were in Tijuana, and then some of those shots were in Yuma, Arizona. And that. But anyway, so $2 million brought in $104 million gross worldwide, which is
that's Jaws money.
Staggering. I mean, that is crazy. Those guys could retire right then and there, but they didn't. They made a bunch of other films.
Yeah, how many Cheech and Chong movies wound up being? I know that
there's quite a few, but the ones that I think are the best is appropriately named The Next Movie.
Yeah.
Things Are Tough All Over is pretty decent.
Still Smoking
sucks. And Nice Dreams with the classic one with the
ice cream truck.
Yeah. With Happy Herbs. They're selling weed, not ice cream.
And then the Corsican Brothers was the end.
It was the end. Yeah.
Because the Corsican Brothers kind of sucks. So.
Yeah. And then they had cameos too throughout the 80s and stuff, like Redbeard. They're Monty Python's Redbeard.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on. Unless there's something else you want to get into.
No. I mean, like I said, it's weird that this is kind of a jumping off point for a lot of like no-name, nobody actors, and a lot of them went on to get huge after this. Specifically, Tom Skerritt. A year after this, 79, he was in Alien, and that was the like, okay, this guy actually is an actor.
Yeah. Stacy Keach had a budding career too. A little bit after this, he has several TV shows and several.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he reemerged after this because he kind of like had his little limelight. I'm not positive on this one, but my impression of it is that he was famous for TV stuff, and then he kind of tried to make the jump to TV, and then he started to kind of age out, and then this kind of revitalized his career more in a comedy vein as opposed to him being the straight talking, hard ass cop.
Well, see, that's the funny thing is I remember more for the straight edge cop in later stuff. So I don't know. The band was bored to play a cop of some way, shape, or form. So
there's him and Ice-T. They were born to play hard ass cops. The plot. Let's just go through this one line by line. I think that's the best way to do this.
Oh, we'll be here a long time because there's a lot.
No. What I want to say is like legitimately this first movie of theirs. If you're familiar with all of the skits that they did on their albums, this first movie is like they took all of those album skits that had just been done audio-wise and tried to turn it into a movie. And I think that's kind of the failing of this one. Some parts of it really work. The first scene where they introduced Tommy Chong.
Hang on a sec, because I never actually listened to any of their albums except for like a few of them, like The Nun and like some of the other ones. But I never actually listened to like the whole albums, so I didn't know they actually tore a lot of those parts to try to get into the movie. So
Sergeant
Stadenko. So for me, not knowing any of this shit, to me the movie works great. So you have a totally different perspective. Yeah,
Sergeant Stadenko was actually a recurring character on their comedy albums. Okay. And the song at the end when they go to the punk band thing,
Eric My Eye.
That is straight off of one of their albums.
My mama talking to me, trying to tell me how to live.
And the whole bit with Tommy Chong and his parents, it's inspired by the earache in my eye, because at the beginning of that one, they do the song. That's his wake-up song. And his father comes in and starts giving him a ration of shit. And it's actually, it's a really funny routine. But and so this one kicks off, and it starts off with Tommy Chong, and he's wealthy parents, and
which is a great start because it's something that kind of catches you off guard. You think Tommy Chong, think, this guy's just a slacker kid, with some rich parents.
The best part about it is that he doesn't speak a line throughout the entire thing. It's all his mom and dad going back and forth, and man, they are selling it hard too. So,
great.
The dad just kills me because he sounded like every dad back in 1975 to 1979.
When, boy? When are you gonna get your act together?
That's just how you parented back in the day.
He just yelled.
And if I'm not mistaken, I actually think that whole beginning thing, that they are alluding to Blue Hawaii. Because Elvis is there, and with the whole Elvis thing, it's like his dad's trying to get him to go to work for the
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And
I can see that, yeah.
That's the whole point of that one. And, Tommy Chong's high and making banana smoothies. So I love everything about that whole bit. And if you look at how they're dressed, The mom and dad, they are both dressed exactly like Angela Lansbury and his father in Blue Hawaii. So it's a very different take. The best visual joke in the movie happens way too early on. When you see Tommy Chong and he gets in the car and you see the grill of the Rolls Royce and he pulls out and it's a piece of shit VW Beetle. And then he drives past his parents' Rolls Royce and the grill is missing. Everything about that first segment works. Everything about Cheech Marin waking up in his girlfriend's house and all the kids there. That is all hilarious.
And then you got the scene where he pisses in the hamper, which is homage in Euro Trip.
Yeah.
Later.
So that, again, genuinely funny stuff. And then you have the bit where Cheech is, driving down the road and where they basically meet. Tommy Chong's car broke down and Cheech sees long hairs and he has something stuffed in his shirt.
Gigantic tits.
Yeah. And so he pulls over to pick him up and not realizing it's a dude. And then it starts from there, really. At that
shenanigans
point.
ensue from here on out.
They smoke their first joint together, and it's Labrador and Maui Wowie.
Yeah.
And then they just try to string together a bunch of stuff on this one. You have the whole bit with Strawberry. Just to gloss over all this, because again, if we go through it line by line.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. So they have their first meet up. They figure out, Tommy Chong plays drums, obviously, because he's carting drums to the car.
Yeah.
So they meet Cheech's band, so they need a drummer, so Tommy's going to join the band, and Curtis comes out with something lame-ass waiter outfits and shit like that.
They unveil and the thing that was hilarious about it is that they're all dressed up, and I don't know, I guess they're supposed to look like a 60s, Motown kind of group, but they all gold vests and the fringy shirt, and then if you look very carefully, you can see they all have name tags. And when he says that they look like waiters, and the guy's like, "No, man, this is you just don't get fashion. This is the style right now."
Hey, wait a minute, he's right, man. These are lame. This is the new cut. Y'all be bad. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I'm thinking, I wish that they'd actually revealed that he had stole waiter's uniform from some restaurant. That would have been a great payoff for that joke, but.
Because that's probably exactly what he did. Because Curtis is a shady hustler character to the max.
Then we had the whole bit with the party that happens at the house when they go to get weed from Strawberry, and Strawberry has a Vietnam flashback.
What? Hey, Morris. Give me a pass at last touch there and jettison me into the patties.
What are you talking about, patties, man? They ain't no patties. They're just Chicanos, man.
And then Tommy actually runs into a chick at there, and she snorts
the Ajax lady, dude. The whole was fucking shit. So fucking Tommy Chong is searching around for some drugs and shit like that. He knocks over a thing of Ajax, and he's like lining up like some fucking lines of coke. And then comes this one, she's like, "Oh, where have you been all my life?" And she like snorts 3 fat lines and starts doing her weird sound effect thingies. Yeah. She's genuinely creepy and entertaining, and
I'm gonna go with creepy on this one. So yeah,
she does a great elephant impression, though. I mean, she nails that shit.
Oh, is that great?
Well, what a rush, huh?
For whatever that's worth.
And then you're introduced to the bumbling cops.
Yes.
And they are bumbling fucking idiots.
They are the best part of this movie. And going back to the Ajax joke, when he's like, he puts his finger into what he assumes is cocaine, and he's like, "It's turning blue," and one of them goes, "Oh, it must be high-grade stuff.
Must be Peruvian flake."
There's that whole bit there, and every time that they flash back to the cops and their antics and everything that they get wrong and how they're that shit is all hilarious.
It's all gold.
But there are a lot of segments with Cheech and Chong that drag on way too long.
Well, before we get that, let's finish glossing through the rest of the plot here. So, after they get busted or almost get busted at Strawberries, they go back to, I guess, wherever their places where they jam out.
Yeah.
Because Curtis comes there, they finally score some weed and shit. But then the Amigra pops up to take them to get deported. Yeah. So they get a free ride for the wedding party.
And lunch.
Let's get a free lunch. So now they're down there, so they need a ride back. So Cheech calls his Uncle Chewy, and they're supposed to take like this van back that's supposed to be full of upholstery. Well, they go to the wrong address, and so they take a van that's made of dope.
Fiber weed.
Yes. Which is actually kind of clever. in its own way.
Ish. But anyway.
For stoner comedy.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they're driving the van back full of weed, and the exhaust is so hot in the van that it's like basically slowly lighting the van on fire.
Yes. Yeah.
So everybody that comes in contact with the smoke from this thing just gets like stupid fucking high. And the funny thing is, like, they're still looking for drugs this whole fucking time, not even realizing they're in a van made of fucking dope.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, one of the best parts about that whole segment of the film is when the cop goes to pull them over and he walks up to the exhaust fumes and then he walks up to the door and they're like, "What do you need, officer?" He's like, "Can I have that hot dog?" that actually had me laugh out loud, like really hard. You guys have a nice day. So yeah, that whole bit was priceless.
And then she's like, "You want some Fritos with that?"
Oh, really nice guys. So,
and then along the way, they pick up the two hitchhiking girls, and they find out about the Battle of the Bands. They end up at the Battle of the Bands, and they end up winning the Battle of the Bands. Yeah. And that's pretty much the movie.
That's
the long and short of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not really a whole lot. I mean, the rest of it is they're trying to look for weed, not realizing that their van is made of fiber weed and
then all the antics that the cops get into try to chase them. Fucking Harry shoots out the tires of his own fucking car.
Yeah.
They bust a bunch of fucking nuns that are real nuns, but they think they're undercover.
Yeah. Stacy Keach gets his feet and pants pissed on multiple times.
Their canine dog, the drug sniffing dog, sniffs the tailpipe and ends up dead. I mean, I find it genuinely funny, still even to this day. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of nostalgia baked into this thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm like, probably 12 years old or something like that when I first see this movie for the first time.
Right around
and I'm still, probably a year or two later going to get into drugs at that point myself. And so
I don't know what you're talking about. So,
but me and my buddies, we like quoted this movie constantly, watched this movie all the time. I still damn near got 80% of it memorized by heart.
So this is your Excalibur.
Pretty much. So anyways, like some of my favorite parts is like when they're at the border and they got the Asian reporter Toyota Kawasaki. Still cracks me up to this day.
Actually, Stacy Keach's interview during that whole portion
is
he's so oblivious. That is a gem. And when they're frisking the nuns, I laughed out loud at that one. It was like, wow, that's really tasteless. Bravo.
So some were shocked and appalled, but like half of them are really enjoying themselves. Especially the older ones, like really into that.
Yeah. The smiles on her face were
priceless,
solid. So
the other thing I really enjoyed about this too is like even with all the characters that are in it, each one of those little characters had these little details and little quirks about them that are super fucking interesting. The Ajax lady's hilarious. The stoner girl that they pick up. So you got the slutty bimbo, and then you got the
redhead with
the redhead. And but yet if you listen to her dialogue very closely, she's like actually like very like band manager savvy, is like talking about all these things they need to do to get their band successful, like how she's trying to sign them and all this shit. It's funny.
To be honest, I really do think that a lot of these folks are based on real people.
Probably.
And they just amped it up a bit. And Strawberry especially comes off like that because, it seems like distant history now, but this was, 4 years after the end of Vietnam? Mm-hmm. So, and PTSD wasn't like a really recognized thing, and there was a lot of self-medicating that was going on back then. So, I think that is most definitely derived from somebody that they know.
I love how Chong blames his birthmark on non-grass.
Yeah, well, that non-grass will do it to you, man.
Yeah.
That stuff will lay you out, man.
He's really weird, man.
That's what lost the war.
That's why we lost the war. It was going.
Wow, that's heavy and dark. So, but it's not that I didn't enjoy the movie, and like I said, there are some parts in there that I did laugh at, but it hasn't aged very well. A lot of this has been recycled over and over and over again in the past 40 some odd years.
Well, yeah, I mean, so, it is the originator, so it's going to be duplicated and ripped off multiple times over and over
and that's
over.
That's not to the movie. That's not a fault of the movie. That's just a fault of that's what happens with movies.
Sure. Okay.
But so there's that one. So the other thing is that there are some pacing issues with this. It feels. Portions of it feel really like stretched out. There are the short punch jokes that they hit. They're funny. They move on to the next thing, and then there are the ones that just drag on way too.
Which
long.
ones? Which ones did you like?
The whole car ride thing. When they're driving the van back, and like we didn't need that much of that particular vehicle ride. When they bust the party. Mm-hmm. That goes on so long. What was hilarious gets less funny as it goes on, and then finally, there. The big punchline of that is that he was standing out in the backyard, and he goes in like, "We got to get you out of here," and it's like he was already outside. Yeah, how are we going to get you out of the house?
Come on in.
Hey, what's going on?
It's a bust, man. We got to figure out some way to get you out of here, man.
So it was a long, build up to a joke that, it would have been better if it had been more rapid fire.
Sure.
Is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
And I do realize that a lot of movies of this time period, in particular, have pacing issues that are similar to this. So it's not that there's anything wrong with the movie itself. Mm-hmm. By itself, it's just fine, and it is most definitely of its time. It's just it hasn't aged well. That's really the only fault that I can lay on this one. So I'm not saying I didn't.
That's like actually pretty generous coming from you. I was expecting you to come in and kind of half savage this film like you did with Euro Trip.
No.
Because I remember mentioning it to you, like, I'm thinking about doing Up in Smoke, and you kind of groaned a bit.
A little bit. No, I'm not going to. And again, it's like the whole Cheech and Chong shtick it's been over for a very long time. And Tommy, Cheech Marin actually went on to stretch his legs acting-wise. And we'll get into that one here in a bit. Tommy Chong, on the other hand, is still playing Tommy Chong, and will be till his dying day. I'm going to assume at this particular point, but it's just kind of weird for me to see it. But like I said, that whole first sequence with Tommy Chong was hilarious, but he didn't have any speaking lines. But when they get pulled over by the cop, and he's trying to eat the drugs, and Cheech had dropped acid, and he can't stop laughing. Cheech laughing was hilarious. Tommy like sitting there like, you didn't have 5 pounds of shit, man. And you're still like trying to choke it down later. The court scene went on too long just to get to the punchline of that one. That one drug a little bit. Mm-hmm. I can go through these line by line, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say, like I said, it suffers from some pacing issues. Ironically, other comedies of this that what probably felt really rapid fire back then was like when you watched Used Cars. That is just joke after joke after joke after joke, and none of it feels drawn out. This has some moments that feel drawn out. So your mileage is going to vary on this one. If you're not patient, this movie is going to start to kind of wear on you a little bit, and by the time you get to the end, you'll be But at the end of the day, the big payoff at the end when they go to the Battle of the Bands and they do Earache in My Eye, yes, I sang along with it. I'm not proud. And yes, I know all the lyrics to that song and knew them before I saw this movie, and because I had actually heard the albums. But I guess the other thing is, and this is something that they improved on in the later movies, is that because a lot of this was adapted from the albums that they had done, that kind of adds to the... I've heard this joke before, sort of thing. The later movies that they did, it was stuff that was written for their movies. So it's fresher, and it's more coherent. It doesn't feel like they're trying to jam 15 ideas into something that kind of makes sense as a narrative. So their later movies, I actually think, are better than this one. But this does have some funny, laugh-out-loud moments.
Right on.
So...
Cool.
How long did I run time-wise?
You did great on this one. No, you're doing good, man. Doing good. No, for me, again, it's pure nostalgia from beginning to end. I love this movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. Sure, there's parts that are kind of, whatever, and it absolutely is a product of its time, Is it better, inebriated? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Sure. I mean, it is a stoner comedy. You should probably watch it as such. You don't have to, in my opinion, but at the same time, it's like when in Rome. Why not? So it's a absolute recommend for me.
I'm gonna. I'm gonna borrow from your cue card here. I'm just gonna say that, you know what? At my age, not a whole lot of people that could be like, dude, have you seen Cheech and Chong? They're gonna look at me and go, 30 years ago, yeah. So I mean, recommending this movie is pointless. But you know what? If you need to, let's put it like this: if you're going through your streaming services and you see the Cheech and Chong library of movies there, skip to the next movie. I think it's a better film than this one, to be honest. And again, because it's fresher.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say you start from the beginning. If you need to know where Genesis is, like, because where Judd Apatow came from, where that humor is
Seth
based from Seth Rogen. Who else had like the other movies? Let's see here.
Grandma's Boy, Strange Wilderness.
Yeah. The Happy Madison stuff.
Yeah.
All them people were influenced from this. So I say start at Genesis. But
are you saying that they were high?
No. So anyways, I mean, again, I love the movie.
Yeah.
You like it, but not going to really recommend it per se. Is there anything else we need to say?
Nothing really comes to mind on this one.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of hard to have like a really deep dive into a movie that's this just in your face with everything.
Well, I mean, we could have gotten every nook and cranny of this thing, joke wise and things on it, you know.
But look, if you haven't seen it, shame on you. Go watch it now, okay? And if you have seen it, you know what?
I say watch it again.
Go for it. Why not? But I'm just going to make the assumption that you're either prudish and, oh no, it's a stoner movie. Oh, I must clutch my pearls. Or you're all like, yeah, Cheech and Chong. I don't know what else to say about that one, to be honest. So
you know what? The other thing is, it's surprisingly clean. There's no real nudity in it. There's not a whole lot of cussing in it, and really, other than the drug use,
there's mild side boob, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Anyway,
it's a family film, so watch it with someone you love,
like your drug dealer.
So
what are we watching next?
Well, seeing as we're just kind of digging up some nostalgia, we are going to be watching the John Travolta star-powered vehicle, directed by none other than Sylvester Stallone. That is right. We are watching the sequel to one of the greatest coming-of-age films ever made.
This isn't it, though.
Staying Alive.
I have a lot of hate for this film. You'll find out about it shortly, so until then, we'll see you next time.